Right, here we go.
Okay.
So, good morning, Estela. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. I really appreciate that. So, we have 9 people in the session right now. Do you want to go on and get started, or do you want to wait a little bit?
What do you think is best? We can give it a minute. It's fine.
Yeah, let's go on and get started just so that we can stay on schedule. So, First off, I had some time to do a pre-interview with Estela, and that's how I created the intro for her. So this is going to be her first time hearing it. So you have to let me know what you think, okay?
Okay.
All right. So
sounds good.
I'm going to start off with this. How do we ourselves affect change? Maybe we look to the stars for inspiration or stars among us. To do that, turn to Estela Vazquez Perez, whose name literally means star. During our pre-interview, Estela and I were able to connect as people of color, me being Black, Estela being brown. And we talked about how we always have to be better, work harder. And, sometimes it does mean getting less. But when you are a woman of color, all of that is compounded. That doesn't negate talent. As an employer branding expert, Estela says that she also does personal branding and helps level the playing field by removing the requirement of having photos on resumes. So it's my pleasure to introduce Estela Vazquez Perez, Organizational Development and Learning at Alterna Savings. How was that, Estela?
Thank you so much. What a surprise. I am feeling very flattered. Thank you, Bakari, and it's amazing. I appreciate that you put that thought for me. I'm going to present now. Let me share my screen. Thank you, Bakari. Yay, I found it. Okay, everyone. Well, the title of this session is Employee Experience Design for the Future of Work. And I had the pleasure to sit in the other presentations, a few of them too. And I can see that there is a great diverse of backgrounds and diversity of backgrounds with the speakers. So I think we're all hitting the topic from different angles, and that is very good for all of us to be able to have a full perspective. So I am going to speak today about the employee experience design specifically. And let me just click. So first, I just want to acknowledge one thing here. See, the future of work is customized for both the organization and the employee. And that's what we're going to unfold during this session. I also want to acknowledge that the people that are joining us today are already in the conversation. You are already these evangelists. You know why this is important, and you know that we have to do things better and give better employee experiences. So that is a very good point to start. And since I'm not speaking to the converted, but actually you are the leaders and you are the ones who are going to change the future of work, I think today I like to give you tools and everything that I have learned over the past 20 years to make this happen. And I just hope I can add some value to your journeys and how you're making things happen in your workplaces. So as Bakari mentioned in my introduction to my presentation, is also going to be a bit loaded with equality conversation. And, after the awakening for many in 2020 with all the events that happened, whether you leave a situation that deserved to be spoke about a little more and you never dare to do it, I think that year just really gave us the guts to speak up for inclusion. So every presentation I have, I actually just try to embed a little bit of that too. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to let you know a little bit about the topics that we're going to explore today. something that I like to do is learn what you want to hear about. So we have the schedule and we have some points that we put forward to present today, but I really would like to know what you want me to dial a little bit, maybe double whammy on it. So I'm going to put a poll in front of you, and you can just select what is your favorite topic, and maybe the favorite topic gets more time, and the least favorite topic, I just scan over it. So you're going to see it shortly on your screen. Okay, I see it coming now. And this is great. You're giving me great insight to customize this presentation for you and not just, give you a whole determined content. I really appreciate that you're taking the time to do this. So I see here that obviously employee experience design is the biggest topic, and surprisingly, employee engagement, which many people tend to confuse the two of them. So we're gonna get on both, and then we're gonna focus on equally trends to shape the future, data and analytics, and a little bit of employer branding. Someone scanned over that one. Perfect. That's excellent. So I'm going to close the poll now. Great, thank you for your feedback. So we are set, and the best things is to create our own experiences, as I just mentioned in the first slide. So you are helping me right now to create our own presentation today by telling me where we want to focus on. So that's fantastic. So aside from the topics that I put in front of you to select, I have added some case studies, which I just call them stories. And I really hope that if you forget anything that we say today, or if there is not much to, data that you need to actually chase further, I believe stories stay with you a little longer. And I put a couple, 2 or 3 case studies that you can take home. If you have any more questions, we can discuss some other time or after this presentation too, or just give me your questions here. So I'll let you know a little bit about me and why I'm doing this. Just if we're going to talk about employee experience, sometimes people come from the angle of data, which is fair. I saw speakers coming from the angle of technology, which is really important because obviously technology enables us to give better experiences to people. But I'm going to give you a different perspective. I guess I can add 2 things, and then you can decide. First, I have a global perspective. So I have 20 years of experience working in different countries, a total probably, 60 countries, from Asia, Europe, of course, the Americas, the Spanish Americas, the English Americas, and all the variations that we have in Canada, going through French language too. And the world has a lot of differences, of course, when we are implementing employee experience design, but we are also humans, and I've learned the universal truths about doing this kind of work at a global level. So that will be my added value for you on this topic. The other point that I like to highlight is, while obviously we get hard skills on data, design, digital, you name it, we can dive deeper into each one. My focus has been from the human side. So I took a brand management approach to this, and I wanted to do brand management from the beginning of, since I remember, I wanted to do it for HR. I thought HR really needed to have some skills related to brand management, which by default demands to have skills also in technology, data, and design. So I'm going to give you a little bit of that perspective from those 2 lenses. So brand management and global reputation management, global perspective, and I hope this is good for you. So this is a brief description of what I do. So I share frameworks, methodologies, and tools to achieve a global and local brand positioning as top employer. I help employers strengthen their relationship with employees and manage their employer brand reputation if they need to. Sometimes we need both sides, right? So I'm going to make sure that I read if there is any question. Okay. You have any questions, please just put it in the chat, and I can take care of it as we go. We don't have to wait until we are at the end. Okay. So human experience management is the biggest topic today, and I specifically went for employee experience design, which is applicable to everything talent management. And what I want to highlight here is that where H is for human, and I want to take the presentation in two parts. First, explaining everything about the human part and why it matters for us to understand it. And then we're going to take a look at XM and everything related to how to manage and measure that experience so you can actually improve it or achieve productivity and progress with it. So HXM includes a lot of skills that obviously we cannot do everything by ourselves, but I really want you to put an focus on the H today. So H is for human, and we really want to enhance that in everything that we do. So I'm going to skip now. So what you're seeing here is a pyramid called, the Keller's brand equity model. And I'm not going to stay here for too long, but I want you just to hear a story about this one. So in order to enhance humanity and to create things for humans, we have to make sure that we understand our relationship with them. If you talk to any salesperson, they would say, well, the ultimate thing to achieve, after all the marketing they do is creating those relationships. But trying to create relationships from the marketing side is pretty hard. So the role of brand manager is completely different to the role of marketers or even to the role of experience designers. But experience designers and marketers both respond to that structure that the brand defines for you to go to. Otherwise, you're just flying in all directions, trying to make everyone happy, and often companies get confused with that because you might have requests, from women, you might have requests from minorities, you might have requests from business leaders, and how do you know where you stand? Obviously, you have a business model to sustain, and you have to continue to gain, wealth for the company. But aside from that is how you do the work and how you go about it. And HR talks a lot about this and how we do the work. But it's almost like trying to do best practice, copying everybody's best application of skills or learnings. And the only thing that can keep you grounded is knowing yourself as a company. And you can apply this to you as an individual too. Knowing yourself as a company or as an individual means you know who you are. You can follow this pyramid, actually. You can identify who are you, what about you, and why does it matter for me to relate to you? These are very hard questions, often responded in a very light way. You can see this more so for companies who don't have departments focused on brand management. I have seen companies that open, employer branding shops, reporting to recruitment, and that's just an application of it. Other companies that have a heavy, chief marketing officer or marketing team fully dedicated to make things happen for the business, to have a very controlled delivery of their offer. But when you don't have this brand management, head, group, person, whoever is helping you partner, you tend to scatter. And when you scatter, you become diluted and you start wondering and thinking, am I doing this right? So that happens to individuals too, and it happens to companies. If you don't have that grounded self-awareness of who you are and how you establish relationships with others, then it is very hard to discern what tactics you're going to follow. So in employee experience design, it's not about just iterating throughout, your product development life cycle or the world and coming up with the next best thing just because. You have to be following your brand management, your equity model. Where are you going, and stay true to your values. So in a role of brand management, which is going to inherit guidelines for employee experience design, you need to do a lot of strategic influencing. This is not a functional job. This is usually, with your C-suite and creating the strategic frameworks of companies. So I'm just going to put an example here. So employees say that 80% of employers in a Forrester report say that EX initiatives are actually making a better experience for them. But when we say here, what kind of experiences are making life better for them also means what kind of experiences, which is the question is not there, what kind of experiences are making us better as a company, more resilient, more meaningful, more productive. And I think sometimes if you fall too far on the employee experience side, you might tend to lose that perspective of your company doing well. You have to push people to do well, but also you have to keep a balance act with the company, right? And the individuals. So here's the thing, the design part that you see in this pyramid, the design is not just how you look and feel, obviously for that employee experience, but it's how you function, how it works. And I'm finding that people are splitting away, either too nested in the technology side on how it's going to work. And then, you end up with a product that is maybe very powerful and not very attractive to your eye, not smooth, not likable. Or sometimes you can fall into just simply the design, but you have to remember the function has to serve both the employee and the company. It's a very hard balance to achieve, but I'm just giving you this framework just to follow it. You have the salience, like who are you? Why are you here? What is your reason to exist? And then you come out and say, and this is my performance. This is what I do for you. Like Nike, I am all about high performance. You have images that help you convey that idea and that notion. And the ultimate approach win is to create feelings of success and helping people judge that, that is a brand that helps you achieve success. But then you also have to be relevant and say, well, who am I talking to? So this tip of the iceberg, this tip of the pyramid is very important, because when we are creating human resources products or services, we tend to do at scale, which is great. We have to save money, we have to make it happen for all. But that tip of the scale, the relationship, is about you and me. It's about the company. It's about the product and my personal life, my personal story. And that is when we're talking about being customized. So it's not to customize everything and for everybody all the time. It is about customizing that part of the relationship and why your product or service, let's say a wellness program, will be relevant for you in the company. And for you, for the person that is going to receive this information about that product, right? Sometimes you create benefits programs, and the benefits programs might be just relevant for a certain group of people, maybe only for people with children, or maybe only for people, for young people. So you have to make sure that those programs have that resonance with the audience for them to be actually useful. So that's the part of brand management. I'm not going to dive too much in it. I think this is probably the most difficult thing to do in employee experience design, and that's what I don't see much. I don't see many people diving into it. It's more so in the performance part, driving technology, or really just doing branding. So my next slide actually shows you an example about branding that experience. So you remember how everybody started saying, yes, we support everybody. We support Black Lives Matter. We support LGBT+. We support women. And everybody comes out with this little flag of, me too, I'm also supporting you. But branding just is about building those personas, saying, I'm talking to you. I'm telling you that I'm with you. creating consistent branded cues. And when I say cues, it means, the image, the color, everything matches for my company and for the segment too. And then displaying positive brand values about that group. This is where people fail a lot because they don't convey the values. They just repeat what is being said out in social media by everybody else. But telling the important brand stories and connecting it to your company will bring everything to life in a better way. Now, the trouble here is everybody is talking about branding stuff, and suddenly we have a lot of branding experts in all directions. But when brand management is not understood, you just have a plethora of creativity without context. And that is very dangerous. That is what takes you to create employee experiences that don't have meaning or do not create equity for your brand into the future. They might be amazing campaigns that they're flashy and they die, by the next campaign cycle, but they don't help you build the future. They just make noise in the ecosystem, in the environment. So anyways, there is a lot of that, mainly in social media. So we have to be very careful with that. And still, we're not diving into the employee experience design. We're just communicating it. So when you do that employee experience design, this is what I learned from the world, from doing, brand management, employer branding, HR around the world. Brand archetypes will guide your employee experience design. So say if I work in a company that is supporting entrepreneurs and is entrepreneurial, most likely I also want to target employees that have that kind of entrepreneurial approach and entrepreneurial style in life and comfortable with it. And knowing that, just the simple fact that you're entrepreneurial is going to drive how you do things, how you configure your systems, how you communicate to people, and how you do things. So there are 3 things around the world, never fail. And sometimes you can, after I tell you this, you will see how sometimes companies become a little not too hardworking at going beyond this, and everybody's getting the same thing from agencies. So humans, we want to have growth, we want to achieve, and we want to belong. It doesn't matter which country we're talking about. It's always like that. How you convey how people will grow, achieve, and belong is what's making the difference about your company, how you're going to differentiate. So if I say you will grow, achieve, and belong here in an entrepreneurial environment, our brand is entrepreneurial, and we want you to take chances on you, take chances on people, do it in a smart way. So those are the 3 key brand archetypes. Obviously, if you can unfold some characteristics, I think a speaker yesterday was saying he was all about value, energy, love. And that's really great because that keeps him really grounded. And you could see, a presentation full of energy, which is part of his brand value. So that is very important to define. If you want an employee experience design, imagine one from Apple and imagine one from, I don't know, maybe an oil company. You can expect very different experiences, in the formats, in the design, in the communications, and even in interaction when you interact with Apple or when you interact with maybe an oil company. I'm not saying anyone is better than the other. I'm just saying they're very different, and that helps you also attract certain kind of people or detract certain kind of people. So that's the story with the pyramid. That's important, and that's why it's important to have your brand consistency. So I want to make a little switch between brand management, brand archetypes, and then the key characteristics of employee experience design. 3 key things that you have to take care of. So how we say you have to take care of how people grow, achieve, and belong in your company. The thing is, when we're talking about achievement, the experience with tasks is where you have to work. So in our times, in our era of AI, anybody who's doing mundane tasks or not meaningful work obviously is not going to be too attractive. And you have to aside from design, you simply have to get to automation. That's kind of table stakes. Digital is a word from 20 years ago. So digital, everybody was going digital since, I remember, but not everybody actually did it right. So digital is old, automation is expected. So then on top of that, you actually have to do design for humanity. So that's the first part. How you achieve things should not be by drilling, like in the old times, on tasks that are not meaningful. That also doesn't help people, develop skills and grow. And when I move into the grow part, is that sense of fulfillment. My work is giving me a chance to contribute to this company, but also is giving me a chance to grow, to develop. So everybody has a different sense of fulfillment. We have to take care of that, but that's what is going to give it to the employees. Now, the belonging part is that social experience. So think about the employee experience design. Is this eliminating mundane tasks? Is this experience allowing people to have a transformation in their lives or to be better at something? And then the last part is this enabling people to belong and to be part of this company. So those are the three key things to look at when you are designing an experience. There is going to be a plethora of tools and resources to do it, but this is the most important. Those are your three key categories to review. Now, how do we do this and why do we do that? Let's just say that you want to engage. So you were talking about employee engagement. You want to recruit and engage somebody like her. The question is, what does it take to recruit and engage her? And you're in charge of employee experience design. She's clearly the future. How are we going to do this? And I want to tell you a little bit of a story here. Over the years, I have been tracking, measuring, and following any kind of report of what do women in tech, for instance, in general, sometimes, what do we need at work? And sadly, I always see these number three, the first three things that they will look for is respect, flexibility, and leaders that support our development. And I don't see the respect component appearing in the most desirable attributes of an employer for the other gender, right? So this is a very interesting fact. It just comes up every year: respect, flexibility, and leaders to support my development. So when you do experience design, you need to know who you're targeting, who are your personas, and then what does it take to bring them on board. So another two things, for instance, that their male counterparts will request is, interesting products. But then she will say, I also want to do meaningful work. And this is when we end our own employee experiences end up attracting only certain kind of people if you only design for that kind of people. So we need to diversify our thinking and how to do these experiences, how to design them, so these people can join us. And, we can reflect the market that we are intending to serve. So anyways, and you can segment. This is just an example of, how to attract young women in the tech industry, but you can segment every single group in society, and you will discover that even by groups we're looking for, there are trends, and you can study and you can design for the group that you want to attract. For a long time, I believe it's just been servicing one single group or servicing one single mind, and I think this is the time where we need to rebuild those experiences so we can build different kind of workplaces and we can build different futures for everybody. So that brings me to, that will kind of cover the age, the human part, and how everything about intrinsic work, self-awareness, what does it take to bring people in, what excites them. And now we're going to move to the X And to be honest, the most exciting part for me in that, human experience management is the data and the tech, because the rest, I think it has sat there for so many years that I think it needs a review. So for many of you in human resources, you will distinguish this. This is the human resources life cycle. And, most of us should know it if you work in human resources. But XM enables you to measure and manage productivity, retention, and performance. If you see this, retention is a very loose word. Sometimes people call it engagement, and I think somebody call it, employee experience is the same as employee engagement. Well, no, it's not. Employee experience design is heavy on the age, heavy on the human. It just so happened that people are heavily focused on selling you technology or selling you data, frameworks and algorithms to do your thing. And that's why you end up only on the management component of employee experience design or employee experience management. And that's not too, it's not too exciting when you are missing the component of who you are doing this for. You're doing this for humans. So that's my little caveat with the framework here of human resources. You can see it's siloed. Teams are shaped according to each of those bubbles, and that results in gathering data also siloed and not really giving you all the dimensions of the human that you're trying to serve. So we start with a bit of a problem here, because even if you gather your data, even you do your designs, you are siloing it based on a functional perspective that the organization has and not a human perspective. It's you coming in. So XM, in short, I actually removed the H here, and it's about helping employees do what they do easier. That's it. So how do I make him, how do I help him get the best seed? And how do I help him get, those plants water on time and not to miss a bit on moisture and whatever the case is. But so removing those mundane tasks sometimes will be useful, because then he can reach a better, a higher level of humanity and explore himself a little more instead of worrying about, measuring the water. So that's very important. Empowering employees and even companies with data. Some of us have even services for that. When you do the process of design, you need a lot of design thinking, but also a lot of change management to implement that. But if you do that right, you eliminate the transactional work and you have your data, you actually end up with bandwidth to produce and to create value for others. So that's the importance of it. And if companies want this, if companies are trying to get better at getting better data and creating better value for society and for their stakeholders, that's why everybody's so interested in the XM part of this phrase. But I invite you to pay attention to the human part of this combination. So for all the ones who are interested in the technology part, I'm just going to have a brief go here on this one. There is a lot of systems out there. You probably have an ATS or an LMS or whatever system you have in HR. And that's kind of the first generation when you have your little lonely system on the side. Then you have other generations where you put, more, you have all your systems in place, all in one umbrella. Then you went to the cloud. Well, now we're in this fourth generation where you need to have all your system in place, but your systems are now servicing, if you see there in this diagram, you have your systems in place, but you have stories about employees that are going through that. And you're trying to get that data together also for the types of employees that you have. So achieving this obviously is kind of first step, is table stakes, and it's a kind of a minimal thing that we need to do to offer a better service to employees and also to get more data. But that we're not going to focus on tech today. So I want to jump to my next slide. Let me see. What happened to this one? It's not showing. Okay. So here, I want to tell you, I put story time here because I want to tell you, I'll thank you, Laura. Thank you for being here. I'll touch base with you later. So I have this story about, biased ATSs. And so I had to do global recruitment marketing. And the company said, we don't have enough people. We can't find enough people to apply for the roles. And we have a, high turnover. But when I look at the markets, I realized, well, we have enough talent in the market. We have everybody, 24 to 26 years old. They're highly digital and educated. So we have enough entry-level talent not to be suffering. There was a high competition. Obviously, HR started getting, market compensation level up and fight over, for the talent with competitors in terms of compensation. But when we realized this, we realized this in Asia, for instance, when we tried to hire talent, the issue was not about selecting employees based on compensation. People wanted to see that you had a relationship with their communities and you were there to do something better other than just, just hire and employ people and for the same compensation as anybody else. So we had to discover that top of the pyramid, the relationship with people, was the most important part, and to attract and not to lose them for a very minimum, change in compensation. We had to actually make sure that our programs and people programs were grounded in making communities better. Hello, Antoine. Welcome to the session. So we had to do that, and we had to create employee experiences that incorporated our young, digital, educated employees into the community to serve them and help them feel a more meaningful connection with their community and with their company. And that was, a way of doing it in one part of the world. But let's just say, Bakari just mentioned about, how changing, being more equal in opportunity. So I also discovered that our ATS was, it was enabling biases, I will say, because in certain communities in Latin America, the recruiters were grabbing resumes, making unconscious decisions on who was better based on address, gender, age, looks, and even the name. So we went through this exercise where we say, we have enough talent market. We clearly are discarding people from the get-go. So what we have to do is create a different candidate experience, where in certain places we were making sure that candidates did not disclose any of these elements. And by not disclosing these elements, then that unconscious biases that we had were not ended up not affecting them. So when you do this, when you make sure that you dismantle any inequality in your population, you are going to have a bigger talent market to source from. Hey, Bakari.
Hi, Estela.
I just see you popping by.
Yeah. No. Continue. I'm just here as we kind of begin to wrap up, and then, we'll go from there.
No worries. I'll finish a couple. I have a couple of takeaways for everybody.
Okay.
So I have seen we are in better situations. Let's say in North America. Here, the people that need most of our attention are essential workers. You might be thinking, what kind of new employee experience might be the greatest for my, blue collar workers or white collar workers? But when you think about essential workers, really trying to make it work and trying to figure out the bottom of the Maslow's needs, they are not going to even answer you on how to make their day better. I think what they're trying is to survive the day. And that's one of the key inequalities that we're having, and that COVID really exposed to everyone nowadays. So here's a tidbit. A hybrid workforce is about giving people a choice to create their own experience at work while you can also scale up how to giving that choice. So it's a modular approach to how we are gonna do things. I'll give you a short example. Most of you have a chain of communications policy in your companies. Think about it. An employee is not going to be going through your chain of communication to tell them how a hard time is going, is happening at home. So something as simple, I actually got 2 best employee experiences awards with these different companies, but something that's simple I want to share with you, and you can fix it today. Employees need to have a choice who they want to talk to. If I want to talk to an advisor to tell me what to do, I will call them. But I might just need to call Bakari just to hear me out. I don't want anything. I just want you to hear me out. Or I want my manager to actually create resources for me to make things better for my family. So if you change your change of communication and you simply turn it into an optional approach where the employees can choose who they want to talk to, suddenly your employee relations department is going to be sexier than the old chain of communications employee relations department. This is just low-hanging fruit that we can just grab right there. I call it, every time that you create an employee experience, is like candy. You just need to make sure it's good and you wrap it up in a very nice way that makes sense for people to be attracted. So I have a challenge question, and this is just to make you think a little bit about all this equality. Is Quebec in Latin America?
Is that a trick question?
Yeah.
No. Let's see. Where are the polls?
It is not wrong or right. You just have to say if it is.
Okay, I say no.
Somebody say
like
yes. Somebody you say no. Okay. No worries. I want to close the poll because of timing, but listen to this. When you go into your ATS, you apply for a job, the classic question: are you mixed? Are you Latin? Are you Black? Are you Aboriginal? Okay. How about this? The term Latin American was placed by the Nixon government at some point in time to establish relationships with Latin America and get resources in a friendly way. It also served to disband people from their Aboriginal communities and associate to the term Latin America and not to their origins. And it was known to be anyone that comes from Latin countries to the Americas. Quebec is technically French, it's Latin, and it's in the Americas. So with that notion, Quebec is Latin America. But under the intentions of the term Latin American, it's not. So when I go into an ATS and you ask me, are you Aboriginal? I will say, yes, from Central Mexico. Latin America? No, it's not about my identity.
Estela, we have a hard stop right here. Can we have everyone join you at table 3? I have to pop over to the next session right now.
No problem. Thank you.
I have to end this right now. Can you guys all go, or everyone rather, go over to the lounge and table 3?
Table 3. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Bakari. Bye.
Thank you. See you.